So in this video, I want to share with you some thoughts around pricing. We're still in the Get Clear module of this program. And whilst we've done a lot of different exercises around really establishing that solid foundation for your tiny time business, I really want to just share with you some key things that I need you to focus on when you are pricing your products and your services. There's a lot of talk around premium pricing and you don't want to be competing on price and, all of those types of good things. But I know that pricing is a topic that people stumble over time and time again. So I wanted just to share with you some very simple distinctions that I want you to make so that when you are pricing your products and services, when you are thinking about your revenue goals, it all starts to fit and fall into place. So you're not charging crazy money that nobody would ever pay for your particular product or service, but you're not underselling yourself either. So the couple of things that I wanted just to share with you. First of all, let's look at the key factors to base your pricing on. So this is very, very solid business philosophy, really, business principles that I want you to think about when you're, pricing your products and services. It's not about just plucking a figure out of thin air and thinking, ooh, will people pay that? You see, this is a challenge that if you have an information type business where you are actually using your expertise and your knowledge and you're packaging that in a way, whether it's one-to-one work or whether that is through an online program, or if you are in that space, it's a lot harder to do pricing, because if you are a product business, you know what your costs are of your materials, of your equipment, for example. And so sometimes it can be a little bit dicey when you are in a knowledge business. So here's what I want you to think about. When you're basing your pricing, I want you to think about your costs. Now, if you're like me and you're sitting at a laptop and you're in your home office and you're thinking, I don't have any costs, I want you to think again, because there are some key tools that you're probably using on a regular basis that you need to factor in. You need to be thinking about technology that you are using. If you are a product business, then you've got costs of materials. You need to factor these costs in. So you're not just saying, well, I'll only charge X because I don't think people will pay more. You need to make money on this. So make sure that you are really taking a good hard look at all your costs. If you're working from home, then your accountant will also be taking into account, a portion of your phone bills, your electricity, your heating, for example, because you are working from home. So these are all things that you need to be thinking about. I want you to be thinking about your revenue goals. So how much money do you want to be making? Very, very simple. I want you to be thinking about, okay, if I want to make £50,000, then when you're using the income and revenue calculator that I have created for you as part of this program, then think about, well, what do my products need to be selling at to make this money? I think I shared with you previously that, or in a previous video, that if you, I was talking to a client of mine and she was saying that her program, I think it was a program that it was cost X amount of money. And I said, that's great. How many do you want to sell? And she says, I'd be happy if I sold 3. And my question was, does that cover what you need? And it took her a few minutes to answer because I knew she knew the answer and she didn't want to say it, but she said no. And so I kind of said, okay, so that's not a good place to be. We need to know, okay, so how many do you need to sell? And in fact, she needed to sell 6 of that particular program, so double what she originally thought. And so you have to take into account your revenue goals to help you to base your pricing. Then the next piece that I want you to be thinking about is the value of your product. Like oftentimes I'll be thinking about the programs and the products that I'm creating, and I'm really thinking, okay, so if you're paying X, then I want somebody to get 10 times the value in that program. So really, this is where you really get the juice in your pricing, and this is where how you really get to be a successful business owner, when you're constantly thinking about the value of your product. And what I mean by that is, what is it going to do for somebody? If they buy your product or your service, then what is that going to do for them? And if that result is 10 times what they've invested, then brilliant. You know that you've got a very valuable product, and that's a really important factor to base your pricing on. And then I want you to be thinking about your profit margins. So think about, what percentage of profit do you want to be making? turnover is vanity. Okay, really, really important, because if you're just looking at your turnover, but your costs are 90% of that, then you've got a very poor profit margin. In some businesses, that might be a really good margin, but if you're an information business, for example, then you can have really healthy profit margins. Okay, it varies from business to business, but you have to be thinking in that regard. What is my profit margin? I always want you to be thinking about your profit, not turnover, not sales, because that only tells you half the story. Your profit really tells you in terms of how efficient your business is, how effective your business is. So be thinking in terms of profit margins. Now, there's something that I hear a lot in the business coaching world, and this is something that I really want to make sure that you do not fall into this trap. And this is the one thing that you should never ever base your pricing on. And you should never ever base your prices on your worth. This whole thing around charging what you're worth, I completely disagree with that, because you're priceless. Okay, I'm priceless, you're priceless, we're all priceless. So I don't base my pricing on how worthy I think I am, because you are worthy, full stop. Whether you do anything or nothing, it doesn't matter. You are worthy. I want you to charge according to the value of what you provide, and that is it. So don't be sitting there thinking, well, I'm so valuable and I'm so worthy, therefore I'm going to charge thousands and thousands and thousands for this little ebook, because you think that that's what you're worth. And I know that's an extreme example, but please don't base your prices on your worth. Think about the value of what you are providing. Think about the transformation that you are helping somebody to create, and base your pricing on that. Hope you've enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.